Day 4, good morning of our After Easter Challenge. And I'd like to talk today about Malchus. As you remember, the entourage came in to arrest Jesus. Judas kissed Jesus. He said, I am. They fell backwards. But Peter felt he needed to do something to defend Jesus because he told him, you don't have to suffer. So he's going to bring out his sword. And I think that he didn't maybe have a sword. I think that when the guys fell backwards, he maybe took one of their swords and he reached out to strike out. And the words for striking out were really violent words. It's amazing that he didn't hit the guy on the head and cut his head in half, that he cut the ear off. And when he did that to Malchus, Jesus then picked up the ear, told Peter this was not necessary, healed the ear, and we just know that he either made a new ear or he took the ear that had been cut off and put it back. We don't know that. But let's look at Malchus for a minute. Who is he? The scripture says he was a servant, but I don't think that's all we need to know about him. We need to know that he served Caiaphas. And Caiaphas is an interesting high priest. He was the high priest. So let's look at Caiaphas for a minute. Caiaphas was a Sadducee. Now, Sadducees didn't very readily believe in any miracles of the Old Testament. They just doubted those miracles. So along comes Jesus, and he's doing miracle after miracle after miracle. And the Sadducees, and Caiaphas got very jealous. Now let's look at Caiaphas for a minute. He's been serving for a long time. Before him was Annas, his father, and also after him were about 3 or 4 brothers and brother-in-laws that served as the high priest. So they had this power, this religious power. And when Jesus came along, they did not like the fact that he was doing all these miracles and getting all this attention. They had control. They had power. They had a dynasty of the religious leaders. And so now Jesus was threatening that. And out of bitter spite, they came after him to destroy him. And Malchus was the servant or the right-hand man, the personal assistant to Caiaphas. And he was sent to make sure that Jesus got arrested and that it was done right. And he got his ear cut off. Okay, so here's a man who's a Sadducee, who doesn't believe in miracles, who had his ear cut off, and Jesus healed the ear and fixed it back up again. I just always imagined him going home to his wife going, you won't believe this. You see this ear? Look at this. It was cut off and now it's back. Oh my goodness. Maybe he did that to Caiaphas. Maybe he didn't do that. Maybe he was too afraid that Caiaphas's anger would come out after him. So we don't know Malchus's story after that, but we do know that it sure put a challenge to the Sadducees who didn't believe in miracles, because there was one right there in their midst. So we're looking at the power, the religious power of Caiaphas, and how they all hated Jesus and were jealous of him. And then Malchus, his right-hand man, saw the miracle. Did he accept it? Did he explain it to Caiaphas? We don't know. We just know that later on, when Jesus was taken to be on trial, and the audience was shouting, crucify him, crucify him, that Caiaphas was there. Caiaphas was one of the ones, the chief priests, and chances are Malchus was still there. I always wondered what is happening in his mind as he's thinking, crucify this man who just healed me? Does this make any sense? We don't know what happened to him, but I'm sure curious. Well, maybe we'll find out in heaven. I'm not sure. But very interesting to think about the background of the time period that Jesus lived in and the religious obstacles that he had to overcome. So God's blessings. I'll see you tomorrow.